stories. And when you actually talk about different kinds of stories, it is a easy carrier of messages. If you take the holy book Bhagavad Gita, it has a lot of stories. It has got so many stories with so many models. If you take Bible, you have Bible stories. And in Hadith, you will find a lot of incidents which are narrated as stories. So story becomes a part of every human life. Now, what does a story essentially have? We have heard fairy tales when we were young, and we tell our children stories where we start with once upon a time. No, it can be at any time. So any story can happen anytime. So the first and foremost, every story has a particular purpose to convey. As I said, all these stories did convey a message to you. Now, the second thing, you need a person. Probably you're writing about yourself, expressive writing, expressing your emotions, expressing what you think, expressing stories, what you've heard. It could be another person. In third person, you can write about another person, what he went through and what all his life had. Now, that also has a purpose, but again, we have a person and a purpose. There is a place attached to every story. So we have heard stories long, long ago, very long ago. No one knows how long ago, in a far off place near the mountains. Yes, we do say about the place, or we talk about the Kurukshetra, or we talk about Israel, we talk about the Holy Land. All those stories does have a place too. So every story has a person, it has a purpose and a place. Now, along with that, there is a plot attached to it. Every story need not be a happy story like the fairy tales. A story can be sad, it can be expressing any of the emotions. So essentially, a story will have four important things, which is the person, the place, the purpose, and the plot. So these four things, when they come together, even take the case if it is your story you're trying to say, you know where you were particularly born, to whom you were born, so you have a person, which place you were born, so that is a place, and you have a purpose of why you're telling it. You have a message to carry. Now your story could be a lesson for another person, and that is how stories work. So when you write a story, this is essentially helping you in venting the mind. Now, this part is not for the kids, it is for the adults, kids also to know, but I would say every part, when you express any kind of emotion, be it poetry, be it poems, be it in any kind of writing, it is a way to really vent out your mind. So storytelling has a purpose. Now, when you look at where you can use storytelling, I would be I was really surprised initially when Sridevi was telling me about how storytelling is a part of IT industry. Then I came to know about different places where storytelling were being taught. So we are not trying to teach you storytelling, but we are trying to tell you that you are the storytellers. Now, just to throw light on where and how storytelling is used, I would like to invite Sridevi.
Okay. So being in the IT industry, that's the now important area that I have worked most part of my life, and where storytelling fits in. I have worked with a lot of clients. Now, what I have seen is when these clients who come to give projects to us, usually when it's a service company, they are looking for solutions, and they are not looking for technical solutions on how do you do it. Are you going to use, let's say in the IT world, are you going to use Java? Are you going to use C++ for implementing? They don't care about that. Because mostly the ones who spend money for bringing out a product are usually CEOs, CIOs who are at a different management level. What they want to understand is how does this benefit them? How does it benefit the society? And what is the story? So initially, we all had a lot of difficulty trying to explain to them, because we knew how to explain it technically. This works. This is a database, and they don't care about that. They want to know everyday life of, let's say, Mr. Bob. How is Mr. Bob, the retailer, going to get help because of this? So there, the storytelling became very important at that point, and we all struggled at that point because we are not used to selling products around stories. So then we had to take crash courses. We had to teach ourselves to be storytellers. So when you grow up, if you are aware of to express certain ideas through stories, it becomes easier for you as you grow up. Now, even in the world of art, everything is through stories. You don't talk about anything technical, and because technical is only when you actually do it. But to sell something or to express your ideas, you need to tell a story. Now, if you look at ancient India or any ancient civilization for that matter, any moral or anything that they wanted to be expressed is expressed through stories, because we understand stories. We form our own images in our mind, and we understand it better in the sense that it's not taken as an advice. It's taken as a part of life. That's how this Jadaga tales or all those simple stories of moral stories were inculcated in us. Even today, if I say any proverb to you, I don't think that's the words that come to you. It is the story that will come to your mind. you know which would be a good story about Mushius 3 and the Mushius 3. If I say like that, I don't think you're going to hear those words. It is that story that will come to your mind where a woman, and when a small rat was turned into a woman, and at the end of it, the woman demands that she return back to a rat. So anything that is expressed through stories is always remains in your mind. Now, if I were to teach you science, of how a butterfly is born, and if it is made through a story, it remains in your mind rather than technically telling you on how it lays eggs. So you put it in a context like probably a grandparents and this child is going to the park, and they see a lot of butterflies, and then grandpa talks to them on how these butterflies come, and he lifts up the leaves and shows them the eggs. So one by one, that story, if it is taught through stories, people retain it much better, because it forms like a movie. Because I'm sure most of you remember movie scenes, even if it is a book or a movie. The movie scenes come to your mind whenever you talk about that particular story. So images are very important. So it's very important that you build out your creativity at a very young age as much as possible about storytelling. Anything that you want to express, if you express it through a story, it's not like you have to write 500 pages of it, but it can be wrapped up in a nice beginning and ending, and having a full conclusion so that everybody understands the message through a story. So that is why we emphasize the fact that storytelling is very important. And this particular initiative that we have taken, especially for young children and immediately, is because children are very, very imaginative. And we don't want them to lose that imagination. We want them to put down those imaginations in words as much as possible, and we will certainly guide them through that. In terms of language, we will not change the story because it is their story. We only would guide them to bring it out in better language, in better format, and then get it published. So over to you, Christopher, for the publishing part of
Yeah. Before we move on to the publishing part, let me actually give you an idea about the three kinds of writing you or your child can actually delve into. I was trying to tell you expressive writing because it is very essential for mental health. As a mental health professional, I have seen people tell me stories, what happened to them. And if you can express that, that is one kind of expressive writing where you express your emotions, express your thoughts. That is one kind of writing. Now you have another one which is creative writing. You've all heard about J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling went to so many publishers. Her creative writing, the imaginative Hogwarts and Harry Potter, did not come across as interesting as it was for kids once it was published. So the publishing part really, we'll go into that. But those kind of writing where imagination plays a lot of role, where you're trying to create an amount of fiction and create a lot of elements which you have seen and modify to your benefit. That is again on the creative writing side. And the third one is a reflective writing. It's regularly used on a professional setting, like doctors, nurses, teachers. They all write reports. Now that is reflective writing, depending on what happened, or even psychologists or social workers. All those people, they write a reflective writing. What happened and what is the case history, what happened, all those things. Again, those are stories. Now, how do you get this across to another person? There are umpteen number of ways you can do it. You can have a personal blog, which is the cheapest one. Yes, personal blog, but how do you get it across to people? But again, thanks to the kind of growth of reading which is happening even today, though people said that it is dying and it is lost, and all those stories were given to us, but that story died out very fast because today we see Sharjah Book Fair, which was uh, way back the 11th or 12th position. Now it's in the third biggest book fair which is happening, and millions of people buy books from there. And books are really something which are very close to your heart also. I'm sure if I'm trying to tell you a story, evening time when it is drizzling outside, you sitting in a veranda with a book and a cup of coffee, and in that book, you're reading a story about your favorite hero and his ways and the way he talks. You could actually listen to him talk, not read. So always the book has an element of imagination which is being lit in your heart. The story need not be a full lifetime. Like one of my friends, he asked me, like, I don't have a beginning and an end. This is just an incident. Yes, incident also is possible. I don't have a once upon a time. Yeah, no problem. It could be 1995. It could be 1996. It could be 2000, or it could be even 2020 or 21. So the time is immaterial. It is just that if you have a story to tell, then this is the way. Storytelling is the way. Now, how do you actually approach a publisher? Like, I'm currently working on my 33rd book in the four different languages. I've written in Tamil, Malayalam, English, and Hindi. And when I'm looking at the publishing side of it, the initial book, that one book, getting it published and getting it in my hand, and when I hold it in my hand and I see my name on the book, that is what makes me a writer. Till then, you don't believe that, oh, can I write? Oh, maybe I can, or maybe I cannot. There are many people who say that, no, I can never write. But once their work gets published and they have an article or a book or a story in their hand and they see it, that seeing is believing. It really works wonders. Now, how it works wonders, it gives you that impetus, it gives you that push to go forward and say that, yes, I have another story to tell. Yes, I have another poem to write. Yes, I have another song to write. So the writer, once he gets recognized as a published author, that is the moment onwards you can grow. Now, maybe of these 15 odd people, many of you would be writers, but still not recognized. Now, what is recognition? Just seeing you yourself believing and seeing that name on that book printed saying that the author of this story and your name. Just close your eyes and think for a moment. You're holding a book with a beautiful cover, and the book opens up. In that, you see your name, the title, what you wrote. You can actually feel that you have expressed, and that is in print. That moment, I would really tell you, is worth much more than many, many awards, because that will make you feel that, yes, I can do it. So if I can do it once, I can do it twice, I can do it thrice, and I can keep on writing. Now, what happens when you keep on writing? Your mind becomes very, very safe. You remain very happy. You're able to vent your emotions through books. You can imagination really works, and it moves on to become a beautiful piece of work. And the more you write, the more you become well versed in that. There are many people who say that my writing has a lot of mistakes. It's okay. Every person born as a child does fall down before he starts walking or running. So it doesn't matter if you have mistakes. That is where we act like writing parents. We will be there to guide you. We will take you to the publishers. Like you take your child to the school. The child does not straight away get out of the house and go to the school and say that, yes, I'm joining here. But for that, you have parents with you. Now, here we are being your writing parents, being compilers, editors, talking to the publishers, getting the design done, getting the layout done, all those things done. You will get the final product as the book. Now, this is what happens to when you actually approach a publisher. Most of the publishers, if you send your manuscript, 6 months they won't reply, and after 6 months, probably what you're going to get, the answer is no, we are not interested in publishing this. But we are telling you your child's story, your story. We are ready to publish it. We will talk to the publishers and we take the honors and we say that we have an association with Literature's Light and few other publishers like Mactons, and many of these publishers. We are working with them because we need the storytellers to be alive. We need the world to have more storytellers. We need more J.K. Rowlings from India. We are the people who actually started off with so many stories in this world. We had Ved Vyas, we had Valmiki. They said the epics. Iliad and the Homer who wrote Iliad, or any of those Greco-Roman stories or English stories, O. Henry Williams and Nipota, who was popularly known as O. Henry, all of those people needed a publisher to go forward. Now we are saying that you can become O. Henrys, you can become Valmikis, you can become Vedyas, no issues, provided you are ready to take the first step, that is to write. The rest of the stuff, talking to the publishers, getting the mundane work done, getting the editing done, compiling it, and making into a book, that is what is left with us. This is what we are going to do for you. We are going to be writing parents for you. All of the writing children, we are going to be the writing parents. If you're an adult, yes, again, for you also, we would like to be the guiding light to the publishers, because many a times we say that no, I cannot write volumes, I cannot write 300 pages. I have experience in my life. I have been teaching all my life to writers that if you write one page a day, just one page a day, which will take hardly about 15 to 20 minutes, in the 1 year's time, in 1 year's time, you have 365 days, you would have written 365 pages and edited. It becomes at least 280 pages of a wonderful piece of work called your first book. Now that is possible, but getting it published, yes, that becomes another issue. But here, what we are doing is you don't need to write 365 pages. You don't need to wait 1 year. What we are going to do is we train the kids. We train you to write, how you can improve your writing skills, how you can add plots to the story, how you can make it more expressive. What is descriptive writing? How can you reflect your thoughts on that? All these things we'll be taking it in sessions. How to have good English, how to express when you're trying to write it in a story. All these things we're going to take care of, and that is what our honors is. And we take you to the publishers. That is the publishing part. Yes, we take off the hassle of waiting for 6 months and getting a no. We take off the hassle of you talking to the publishers with a huge manuscript and getting rejected and feeling bad. You just have to do is you are given a limitation of like for children we are doing 500 words. 500 words, you write your first story. Yes, you will be a published author. That is what we are going to do for you. Over to you, Sridhar.
So I guess most of the children, I mean, people here are kids. And do you have any questions at this point with respect to publishing, or what you would like from us? Any questions at this point? Because I saw a hand raised in between. Anybody has any questions? Okay. So we just talked about publishing and other things, and I think one more thing is when we say we train you, we'll give you 3 sessions. So what do we do in these sessions? We will, yeah, give you a basic idea about how to write a story, and if you are already story writers, how you can refine it and make it as crisp as possible so that it is fits in. Because one of the things about publishing is that they're very particular about the number of pages. When you're applying to publish, you need to tell them beforehand that it is going to be 300 pages of book or 100 pages of book, and you have to limit within that. So that is why we say, when we sent you the brochure, we said 500 words, because it can be less than 500. That is fine, but not too less. It should be at least 450 words. So words are important. And sometimes when we start writing, we write a lot and we write and write and go away from the story. So we want to control all of that and make it as crisp and good for everyone to read. So that will be the 3 sessions that we will follow, and it will be during the weekend, and not we will not disrupt your class studies. So that is something that we offer. But from your side, what we expect is that you get started with your story, think about it, and also submit things on time so that we can review and have a session with you personally if needed. Now, at the end of it, once published, what happens? We will provide you with the soft copy of the entire book so that you can have it. And following that, this book will come in Amazon, so that you will have to purchase it from there. So it will be a published book with an ISBN number. Um, just hold on. The game is opening up. So it will be a published book with an ISBN number, and you will be there in the book world as a published author. Now, following this, we are now restricting it to an age group of age 8 to 14. And there's a reason behind that because that's an age of extreme imagination. And you can have wild imaginations. And I definitely ask the parents not to curtail any of these imaginations because it is their story. So just make sure that they think and write what they want to. Now, we are also we have two more announcements today that sir will say. But at the same time, from you children, if you already have a story, just go through it and see if it is ready. And while you're attending the sessions, you can see if you want to refine it and come out with a good name. And one other thing is that all stories should have a good title. Just don't say Bobby and me. That is not going to be the title. What does it should be intriguing enough so you can start thinking about it, go around it, you know put that idea in your head, and at the same time start reading also. Read a lot of other books so that you will there are some books that you enjoy, and most probably most people will write based on that. So take some good authors, follow them, see how they bring out ideas, and you can also bring out the same. So for the next set of announcements, I think, sir, you should go ahead.
Thank you, Sridevi. First of all, as I was listening to Sridevi talk, few things came to my mind. The kind of authors. These days, what we read are totally different from the authors we had in our time. The famous author like Enid Blyton, who wrote Secret Seven and Famous Five and all those stories, or George Orwell, 1982, and all those books which really made you think are missing these days. Probably we have a new generation of writers where we have the Wimpy Kid series, or probably we have the Chetan Bhagat, or we have many others like the what you call Amish Tripathi and all those people. So I want each one of you to understand that Amish Tripathi, when he was doing MBA and he was working on the corporate sector, he decided to be a writer. So I want to remind you that writing, we are not saying that you should make it a full-time profession. I would like to quote the example of Shashi Tharoor, the statesman. He is a writer. We have had many professionals who are like a full-time professional, but they still write and they have their books out. T.D. Ramakrishnan, he was working for the Indian Railways, and his books are famous. And after retirement, yes, again, he's a full-time writer. What we are trying to tell you is that any person at any age can start writing. And we want your child to start as early as possible because there are a lot of stories to tell. As I say in every training of mine, from the age 20 to 60, which is the most fruitful time, you have a lot of stories. So as per what I said, if you write one page a day, then you have one book a year, then probably you're having about 40 books to write. Now that is a target which I'm moving on with. Probably I've reached 32, and yeah, still a long way to go to reach 60. So the 8 books would be anyway surpassed very soon. So this is another side of the story. Now the announcement I'd like to make is that this work, what we are doing, Telltale, is for kids. And yes, we are coming up with 2 more books for the next move, and which is one will be based entirely on parenthood, and it is especially for parents. Now, what happens when you are trying, as a parent, you're trying to tell a story? One thing, you're telling your child what you went through, the pain you had to go through. Probably she or he, your child would never be able to ask you like, were you having a difficult time bringing me up? Because they never think so. But this will be an opportunity for them to understand what parenthood is, what a parent has in mind. I've had so many patients who are parents who are not able to tell their child how much they love them. They're not able to tell them what kind of hardships they are going through. Now, this is an opportunity where you can write as a parent. Now, this could be a lesson for many other parents. It could be a lesson for the children to understand, yes, parenthood is not that easy. And again, this is a point where you can vent your mind and you can be reflective on what happened and completely express yourself, and you will feel much more fresh and light. At the same time, we give you an opportunity to be a published author. Not only your child, you as a parent can be an author. That is the book for the adults. It will be based on parenthood, like mother or father. Every single word, just mother is not just a word, it is an emotion. Father is not just a word, it is an emotion, and expressed in many ways. Every father is different from the other, every mother is different from the other. But again, there is a common nature to these two words, and that is parenthood. So we are celebrating parenthood, and that is what we are going to bring out as the next book for adults, which will be based on parenthood. I invite each and every parent, each and every adult, and those who even carry a mother or father in their heart. Yes, you can write about your parents. That too, again, is about parenthood. So the horizon is open for what you have to write, and that is one aspect. Now, when you write such a thing, in psychology we call it catharsis. Like whatever burden you have been carrying in your heart, let it out. Just let it flow out. If you find a pipe clogged, you will have to remove the clog so that the water flows easily. So we are going to help you vent out that emotion which you have blocked in your heart. Let it out, and you will be much more happier. That I assure, as a mental health professional, I can assure you that writing a story or writing whatever comes to your mind, it will really relieve you of any kind of stress. So parenthood, that will be what we'll be celebrating for the adults. And yes, the young creative time when a child turns into an adult, in between there is a period of so much of passion, excitement, and fun, and everything is new to them, and that is the teen stage and teenage also. We are going to come up with a book. I'd like Sridevi to throw light upon the teenage part of the book also. But as an adult, I would invite you to talk about your parents, talk about you as a parent, and even if you have a story to tell them what a parent should be. Yes, that is all welcome in that book, which is for parenthood, which we will be announcing very shortly. This is the first announcement we are making about the book for the adults. For the teenage part, yes, I invite Sridevi.
Okay. The teenage, viewing from the teenage point of view, that's the best time of your life. The time when you start getting independence, you start getting your freedom, and you start exploring the world. From the point of view of the parents, that's sometimes a nightmare because for them you are still a child and not yet an adult, and you go through a whole lot of emotions of peaks and lows and everything, and sometimes that takes a very nasty turn. So we don't want the teenagers to be ignored. We want them to express themselves, express their ideas, because they are at that stage where neither the youngsters understand them, young kids understand them, nor the adults understand them. So try to make yourself understood through these kind of stories that you think would help express yourself. So that is for teenagers. It will be again, based on stories or essays or poems. What do you think, how you think you can express your range of emotions. So it will be genre based, because for tell a tale for the kids, we are not put any theme as such, because we want you to be as open and about your imaginations. For teenagers, we are probably looking at what emotions would come out of that. So that is for teenagers as well. So everybody should start writing, and in the long run, you become a very accomplished author or not, you still have the your one, at least one story out in the world, and that is a unique story with an ISBN number. That makes it very unique. I don't know how many of you understand the word ISBN, but still, that is a very unique number, and it will be only this is the unique story in the world. So you will be the most privileged people amongst the others who are not ready yet to take the plunge or to take the risk of writing their mind out. So that is one. That's why I have to applaud all of you who have taken started or come forward to say that I will write a story, and thank you very much. Okay, I know some of you here have already written their stories or poems, and they already have it, which is good. You can keep writing, and maybe we can publish more. We'll see about that.
Yeah, a few words about poetry. When you've mentioned poetry, uh, the best form, what is short, concise, and holds a lot of information. It is more like you're making a sweet and you're making it smaller and smaller, condensed. If you have 10 liters of milk, it'll be like 200 grams of condensed milk. That's the kind of condensation which happens when you're dealing with poetry. Now, if you remember, I'm talking to the parents now. If you remember, probably we have all read Robert Frost or William Wordsworth or many of those poets. and their words, we might even use it at times. Maybe when we are doing a presentation, probably at the end of it, we would like to say, "Woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep." Yes, Robert Frost's word, stopping by woods on a snowy evening. It begins by whose woods these are. I think I know his house is in the village, though he will not see me stop here to see his woods fill up with snow. So those poetry, it has a meter. Like we are born with a heartbeat, we are all 72 per minute people, and at times it goes up and down. But again, we are standardized to these 72 beat people. So we have that meter in us, and that is why poetry becomes a part of our life so much, though we don't realize it. So sticking on to the meter, sticking on to what we have to convey, and being as concise as possible, and hiding a whole lot of information within a few words. Probably what you want to say, still you want to hide, and you hide and say that, yes, that is what poetry is all about. So we are also welcoming poetry, not just stories. You can tell a story through a poetry, like most of the great poets did. Even if you take the best of the best poems in Malayalam or Hindi, every poem had a story. And what those poems had to say, probably even volumes of books could not say. If you take the writing in Tamil, Tiruvalluvar, he wrote 7 word couplets. The first line had 4 words and the second line 3. The 7 word couplets, it means a whole lot of things. For an example, if you start with the first couplet of Tirukural, it says, Agara mudala எழுத்தெல்லாம் Adi Bhagavan முதற்றே உலகு. It actually has only 7 words. It says, like any language in the world, the alphabet, any set of alphabet, if you take the first letter would be A or A. The sound A, Agara Mudala Eduthallam, Adi Bhagavan Mudache Ulaga. And so is the case. Everything begins with God. That's what he says in the first couplet. 7 words. And if you start telling stories about this, you can keep on saying. So 7 words could convey so much. When we take Kabir Das, he also wrote, he didn't write like huge poems to make people understand. He wrote couplets where he was trying to say, Podi pada pada jagamuva, Pandit bhayej na koi, dhai akhar prem ka, pade so Pandit hoy. So these 2 lines, it says, even if you write volumes and volumes, you study the whole encyclopedia or probably libraries, scientific studies say that we can hold the whole content of 40 university libraries in our head. That's the capacity of our brain. But just these 2 lines, even if you study all that, if you don't understand what care or love is, then you're lost. That's what Kabir Das says in his Doha. So, be it a couplet, be it an octet, be it a haiku, be it a normal poem, be it a sonnet, there are different ways to express it. So, poetry, yes, you think about poetry too. If you want help, yes, we are ready to help, to modify, to improve your writing. Yes, in stories, again, the same thing. We are ready to help you reach out to that. And as what Sridevi said about ISBN, the International Standardized Book Number, that is the unique number with which every book is identified. If you go to a bookshop, you buy a book, they just scan a barcode with 13 numbers on the back side. That is the ISBN. Wherever you go in the world, the barcode remains the same. And that is the identity what you're trying to create. And that is what we want for you. We want you to be a unique person among all those people who really refrain from telling what happened to them. Probably that could be a lesson to 100 other people that would reform the whole world. So we are inviting storytellers, and we really want you to be a storyteller because that story could change the life of a person. Why do we read biographies? Why do we often quote the Abraham Lincoln studied under a street light? And there are so many stories of poor people like Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar or Mahatma Gandhi. We are all talking about their stories. Why? Because those stories inspire. Those stories make you think that how you should move forward. Those stories really take you to the next level. Those stories tell you that no, I don't want to stop here. I want to move forward. I want to take this next step. And these a few little children who have decided that yes, I want to take one step forward. I salute each and every child and the parent because yes, you're moving ahead in those directions. And that is the power of storytelling and poetry. And we invite, even be it articles, poetry, or stories, the writing is what matters. And that will improve you as a person. The more you write, the catharsis happens. Your mind actually gets more and more easy, and you vent every emotion and you become an excellent writer. Every person has a story. and you too have one, and we identify that, we recognize that. Over to you, Sridevi.
Okay, I think we have put across most of the points that we want to talk about and about publishing, about storytelling, poetry. Now I want to hear from you, who all are in this. No,
I would like to invite Ram sir. Ram sir is here. It's an honor
yes.
to have you, sir, because
Uh,
whatever I was and what I am today, he's one person who has seen me from the beginning till what I am today, and he has been always with me as a guiding light. I would like to invite you, Ram sir.
Thank you, Chris, and hello, Sridevi.
Um,
Uh, I think uh, I think I'm honored to have listened to all those kind words Chris has spoken about me. I think I have done. I don't think I've done anything as such, Chris. I only think I've been giving you company. That's all, right? Whatever from right from your engineering days to all the. I would say you're one person. The saying like a rolling stone, which doesn't gather any moss. But I think I would say like you are a person who actually a rolling stone, but then you gathered substantial moss, but that is of very substance and something which you always share as a wisdom to others, including me.
Thank you very
So
much, sir.
yeah,
You've
and
been a book to me, sir. You have been a book to me because
honored.
with all the experiences and the kind of exposure I got, you've been a book to me. That's the honor
Thank
I
you.
can really
Thank
take it
you,
to my
Chris.
heart.
I I happened to see this yeah of both of your programs. Then that's the reason I asked you. Okay, I would like to listen to both of you, and I think you're doing a wonderful job because uh, there are so many young writers. Young, I would say rather. I wouldn't call them as a kid actually. Maybe no kid would like to be called as a kid. That's what
Young
um,
writers.
getting to know. So incidentally, in fact, one of my friends. Son, he actually he did a during the last I think 2020 the COVID just broke out and then he has been confined to the four walls of his apartment and he was getting bored actually so he was joting and scribbling and whatever he could do and when his mother my friend actually she's my friend so when she opened up this book I think it's very interesting ideas and concepts and he almost poured out his mind as a young kid who has been totally frustrated that he can't go out, he can't meet his friends, he can't go to school. So then in fact, the mother encouraged him and in fact I think probably later on like the son said okay mama it is not my book alone, it is your book alone. So I think it has become the mother co-author and of course she took a lot of pain and hard work to publish this also. I'm sure. I think it would be interesting in one of the programs. Maybe you could uh, feature him or talk to
Sure,
him.
sure. We'll do that.
Uh,
We'll do that, sir.
I always this I take as example, like how a mother can find out uh, the talent of son or daughter and encourage not only in writing but in many things actually. Since it's a writing program, I mentioned this.
Thank you very much, sir.
I'm happy and like I'm honored to be here like with both of you because even though including Chris, I think many of my friends asked me to write a book. I said okay now I have not started I think but Chris said I think like right 6 to 60 or some age group. Okay, I'm just past 60. So I think I feel like I have still got time to write.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have.
And I'm sure, like, I think, thank you, Sridevi, for giving this opportunity to me to be sharing my thoughts. And I think it's a continuing program, right? I think
Yes, it
it's
is. It is.
so whenever I can, I'll definitely join. And
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
wishing both of you the very best in your endeavor. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, so the parents, children, any questions that you have regarding this or regarding the tell a tale, program that we have? Tara, you are ready?
Devi ma'am. Yeah,
Yes,
I'm
please.
Sujata. Yeah, I'm Sujata, actually working as a vice principal for a school in Kottayam. And after listening to you, even I thought I would share this with few students in my school, so that they can become authors later in their life. So definitely, if you have a poster like that, please share it. I will pass on to few students in my school. And then I myself is actually doing PhD, and it is mainly related to art. So I'm just trying to transfer my chemistry content into stories. Already into a few songs and dialogues before, but now planning to convert this into stories as well. That's why I listened to you, and it was really a nice session. Thank you so much, Sridevi ma'am and Chris sir. Okay,
Thank
thank
you
you
very
so
much.
much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing. We need all of you children and parents also. Bring in as much people as you know who would want to write. Where many may be hesitant, may be shy. Not everybody is as bold and courageous as you who have already enrolled. If you know that there are people who write well, encourage them. Ask them to take this step so that they will also become authors along with you.
Thank
Uh,
you.
I think giving a chance to Sarah Susan George
Yeah,
would
Sarah.
be
Sarah
great.
Susan George. That she's already a writer. She's been writing stories, and I have already received her stories while I'm going through that.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think? You want to write more stories, poems? Do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I really enjoyed this session, and I hope that I can write even more.
Okay. So you will attend the other sessions also where we can go through your story and make sure that it is in the right order, everything is proper in that. Okay. Yeah, that's another thing all of you should
Yes, I
know.
will.
Once you write the first draft of your story and you give it to somebody else to read it, sometimes as we will be working like editors, what's the job of an editor? We would go through a story and say, okay, this part seems to be a little too long. Let us condense it a bit more. Or this part needs a little bit more description. You might want to write a little bit more. Okay. So those kind of feedback will come back to you. Do not take it as personal that your story is bad. It's not that story is bad. Your story is something you understand. As a third person, when I read it, we want everybody else also to understand if there are some areas we think that it needs a little bit more, talking about. That's what we are trying to tell you. Okay. So don't take it as a negative thing if we say, no, just clear this part, clear that part. Okay.
Another aspect of any editor I'd like to add is that sadly, many publishing houses have editors who are never authors. We have critics who are never artists. So what happens is the whole essence is lost. Like I'm sure that Sridevi would agree, being a Mohiniyattam dancer, the way a person dances, the way a person conveys a story through a dance, the critic, he wouldn't be even be able to move one finger as much as the dancer does. But the next day papers would have stories about how bad it was. So we assure you that we are not those kind of editors or critics who have not gone through the pain of being edited or criticized. We have gone through all those phases, so we do understand your feelings. I'm sure when Sridevi became I mean, for the first time when she was recognized as an author in one of the books, her feeling was the same too. So she would understand it much better. And me being through the process for 32 books now, I'm like used to the kind of criticism. But we want you to be shielded from that. We wanted you to get the right kind of not criticism but suggestions. Here we are not editors, we are not criticizing critics, we are actually suggesters. That's why we call ourselves writing parents. We help you in the parenthood. We are not here to criticize you. We help you to actually get into that growth as a writer, and you will become the author. That is what we want to see in you. Okay, anyone else who wants to convey something or have a
Vaishnavi,
question?
I think Vaishnavi, do you have anything to say? What do you think about the session? Do you need more information? Anything?
Think
You're very feeble. Yeah.
it was a very nice session. I really liked it.
Okay. So do you want to learn something more about this, or do you have any questions, or are you
No,
thinking
actually,
about the story?
I write one about my dream, but it is a long story. So I wanted it to be around 100 pages book.
Oh, Okay. Can you make that at least a little bit of that story into a short story of 500 words, or you are writing a new one? Oops.
Have you seen movie trailers? The movie would be 2.5 hours long. The trailer would be like 2 minutes. So we can actually start off by featuring a trailer to your 100-page book.
And it is somehow easier once you have one book published in your name to get a second one published, because you're already an author. Because publishing houses, now they are always critical about the newcomers. So once you are recognized as an author, then the next steps are much more easier. So we want to give you that first step. So going forward, you can make why 100, make it 300. Like sir said, write every day, and you'll have a big novel of 300 pages. It's very simple. If when I say 300 pages, everybody gets scared. 300 pages, one page of a novel or a typical book would be around 250 words. And 250 words is, if you were to type, it is half of a Microsoft Word page. 250 words. I'm sure you can type more than that per day. Or
I'd
think
like
more.
to add, I think we have about 7 minutes more.
Yeah.
I'd like to add my experience with my first book. When I started writing Atma Vicharam, which is my first book, Life, Spirituality and More, I was trying with one small message which I sent to a friend. He said, "Why don't you expand it?" So that I expanded it into an article. Now he said, "One article, why don't you actually write more?" So I asked him regarding what? So regarding similar thoughts. So I came up with 18 chapters with 18 different ideas, all concise, edited to be a small book. But I realized that I could write one whole book in 9 days, because from morning till night, I was just working on that. I'm not saying that you should do that. I'm saying devote about 15 to 20 minutes a day. You will have enough time to do your 500 words or do your 1,000 words very easily. And then the next day, what you have is the time to refine it, read it again, find out mistakes, refine it. You become better and better, like you get a brute and you start polishing it. And slowly, when the number of cuts cross 63, or you have the special angle of that particular angle which a diamond has, you're actually making a diamond. So the polishing is what happens. Jeffrey Archer once said during an interview with me, he was saying that he writes, then redrafts 16 times before the world sees his book. 16 times he rewrites it. And most of the time, what he has written initially won't have anything to do with the 16th draft. So refining is what has made Jeffrey Archer. And I'm sure you would be Archers, you would be Agatha Christie's, you would be J.K. Rowling's, and much more. That's very much possible. And we want you to do that.
So anyone else has any questions? Yeah, I think if I read out the names, it is Gayatri, Shreshta, Samuel. I don't know if it's the parents or the children. Anybody has any questions to us regarding this? Hi, Gayatri.
Hello.
Hey, how are you doing? You have a story ready?
Fine. No, not yet.
So we'll soon work out your story.
So we are waiting because our registration opens on July 15th. We are waiting for everybody to think about it and take a decision to join us in writing this. So that is why the delay. So once July 15th is done, we'll close the registration, and then we will go along with with the sessions, and you start with your draft, and whoever has the draft ready, we'll go with the editing of that, and then it will be a very rushed process, and it will take at least a month to actually refine and put everything into a good format and publish the book. So each of you will get a certificate of appreciation and participation as part of this. So this is a big event for you in your life. With this COVID times, many of the things don't happen in school. So we also think that this is a good opportunity for all the children to come together and express what they have done and get awarded for that. Okay.
I think yeah, we're done with any kinds of doubts. And if you want to spread the word, yes, we will pass this message on to whatever happened during this webinar. You can actually forward it to your friends and family and your dear and near ones. Yes, let the word spread, and let us find out those special children who are going to be the young authors of tomorrow.
Okay. So thank you everyone for joining, and have a great day. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Ramsar.